Well, hi folks, this is Darren with My RV Works. What we're going to be doing on this next two videos, we're going to break up this one long video up into two parts. It's going to be basically a Schwintek assembly removal and reinstall. This is the mechanical parts of the Schwintek, the business end of it, not the controls. We're not going to diagnose it. We're just going to actually be replacing it. And I cover all that in the first part of the video. So in the first video, what we're going to do is we're going to be showing me taking off that H-column and getting it off of the RV. And then in the second video, which will be after this one, we're going to actually be rebuilding it. It turns out that the manufacturer sent us the incorrect parts, so we had to do some field improvising, yeah, in the field to make it right. So hope you enjoy the first video. So without further ado, let's jump right into the first video of replacing a Schwintek R&R. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Welcome to my office. Behind us here we have the Strait of Juan de Fuca. We kind of got to a little elevation here so you can kind of see that beach down there. It looks like it's a little high tide right now. We've got an eagle flying around here somewhere. If we see him, we'll point him out to you, but that's kind of a local guy. Today what we're working on is a Schwintek slide room total rebuild. Okay, we've done some other Schwintek videos, and we'll make links to them above, where I made a diagnosis and a repair inside of an RV. And then I also did a video where I took some Schwintek components out of my shop and broke them down and showed you where to lubricate them, how they work, etc. So what this one is, we've got an RV where the Schwintek assemblies are pretty much broken, and we'll show you that. We're going to bring you in and show you that. And in this instance, what we found is it's going to be a lot better just to replace the entire assembly and not just pieces, parts. Okay, so if your Schwintek is literally broken and there's parts broken, you can actually buy individual pieces parts, but sometimes it's better just to replace the entire thing. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to actually be replacing the entire Schwintek assembly. These things go for around $800, $900, somewhere in that neighborhood, and we'll look it up, we'll let you know, but I think the flat rate to replace one of these entire things is in the neighborhood around 4 hours, flat rate. So multiply the flat rate times the shop rate and you get the labor, okay? There may be some shop supplies involved in this as well. So enjoy the view, say goodbye to it. We're gonna get busy. We're gonna turn around and we're gonna show you some of the carnage, and then we'll walk you through what we're gonna do to make this repair. You ready? Let's go. This is the slide room we're going to be replacing. Now, we know, I'm gonna call this a Schwintek, but it is actually a Lippert in-wall system, okay? But you'll see those little tracks, where's my finger? You see those tracks up there? That's kind of how you can just right away tell that this is a Schwintek system. These are my favorite type of systems. They're easy to work on. I know there's a lot of you shaking your head, but once you understand how these things work, they're very easy to work on. They're easy to diagnose. The control modules will diagnose them for you. So whenever I, as a mobile service guy, hear it's a Schwintek system, I'm gonna jump on that thing. So my goal is to make these so simple for you that you get excited about these as well. Now, let's go down here. Whoa. Big hole in the guard I just stepped in. We're gonna go around the ladder and I'll show you some of the carnage that we're experiencing here. So let's go up here. You can see some of the track rubbing. Now this job is gonna be for a warranty, okay? And when it's for a warranty, a lot of times the warranties are gonna want there to be a like extended service plan is what this is for, extended service plan, and a lot of them are going to want a warranty. So when you look at the labor and the pieces parts to fix this versus replacing the entire thing, the better path to take would be to replace the entire thing for more of a long-term solution. Now I don't know if I can get the camera in there. Hold on, let me take it out of its holder here, and if I get in here, there's supposed to be, that's about as close as I can get. We're going to get an up close and personal look at this. There's supposed to be a ceramic wheel right on that little stud right there. And that little ceramic wheel rides in this V groove right in here. So here's how we're going to take this off. Step one, we're going to support our room. Let me take you back down and we'll talk about how we're going to fix this. So here's a procedure we're going to be following. Okay, I'll probably start at that end and work my way over here. Okay, but you only ever do one side at a time. Never would you take both of these off. If I could find it, we'll throw a picture up. No guarantee that I could find this picture, but I learned this the hard way where I took both of these off at one time. The whole slide room just went like this. And yeah, I had to change my pants that day. And I'm glad that my business carries a very large liability policy of insurance because I was about to wipe out the RV next to us if this whole thing fell out. The only thing that was keeping that slide room in was the fascia and the tracks on the inside. So we're only going to ever do one side at a time. Now, when I'm working on this side, I'm going to take a, it's called a power puller, and I'm going to take the stress off of this. I don't want this thing to be torquing my slide room. Okay, so we're going to take some pressure, lift this side up. Then we're going to take all these screws off, take all those screws off, take all those screws off. We'll take these screws off first, drive this out a little bit, take this off, replace the top and bottom tracks, new tracks back on, new H-column back on. And that's funny because in my one where I talk about how these work, I kept calling it an H-harness. But that's the old Marine in me. Everything, you go on humps, you got this H-harness with all your ammo and water and stuff like that. And so I just had H-harness in my brain. So if you go watch that other video, everywhere I say H-harness, it's an H-column. So just go with me, stupid Marines, I need my crayons to draw, right? So we're going to take this off, dispose of that, take these off, dispose of that, get the new parts, new track on the bottom, new track on the top, new H-column, and plug it all in and we're good to go. Okay? Let's actually get some work done now. Ready? Let's go. Okay, so I lied. I said I was going to start at that end, but since my service trailer is like directly behind me, I figured, well, hey, let's start at this end. We'll get all of our tools as we need them, and then by the time we get to the other side, we'll have everything. The orange that you see there, that is the power puller that I was talking about. It's supporting the room. Okay, so I'm going to pan you guys up. Okay, and so now what I'm going to be doing is taking all those screws off the side there. So you're on a tripod here. I've got you set up. Let me walk around the other side. So I'll be taking off all the screws on this H-column. Some manufacturers are going to use like a square head. What is that, a Robinson something? Square head screws. This one's got 5/16 nut. Some manufacturers using rivets. Okay, manufacturers, please stop using rivets. Because out here in the field, we got to drill those things out, and it makes it very difficult for that to be serviced. Because a lot of us don't have the paint to match the scheme. So you're using rivets, I understand, it looks nice, it's great, but it's not practical from the service perspective. So please, please stop using rivets. It's just not practical to be serviced. So I'm gonna go up the ladder, take the screws out. I don't know that you need to watch me do this, but that's the next step, is taking all the screws out. Okay, that was fun. So now all the screws are out. Now, some of you might have a decorative trim that you need to remove to get to these screws, but the screws are there. The way these Schwinteks work is this H-column is screwed from the outside. You might need to move a cap or a cover. Some of you might have rivets, but you get these off. Then, sometimes you could bump the room a little bit, because if you look at the top, let me bring you guys closer. You can look at the top where it's already starting to separate. I want you to see that. If you look there, you can see the room is actually starting to separate a little bit, and that's what we want. We want this room to start to separate. Now, some manufacturers of coaches, they're gonna have butyl tape in there, double-sided tape, all kinds of stuff. But you gotta get in there, okay? Sometimes I've invested over an hour just trying to get one of these stupid things off, the H-column here. So what I'm gonna do now is I've made myself a little wiring jig. I'm gonna go up on the top, plug my wiring jig into the motor. So I'm going to unplug the harness that comes from the coach and feeds that motor. I'm gonna plug my harness into that motor with my battery pack, and I'm gonna drive this H-column out. That's what I'm gonna do next. Okay, if this is your profession, this is how I'm going to do this. So by yourself, this is all of this length. It's not that long. You can get these harnesses. This is the one that's going to plug into the motor. Okay? Let me come on this side. I just want to make sure you can see that. There you go. So this harness is all of this long. It was probably originally a 5-foot harness, but I cut the thing off and crimped on 2 little prongs to it. This is going to plug directly into the motor at the top up here. And then if you use DeWalt tools, you know, I use 12-volt tools. And the thing I noticed about the DeWalts 12-volt tool, okay? But I'm not a carpenter. I'm not drilling holes all day. I'm doing screws mostly. So the 12-volt tools this battery will last me like 3-4 days. But there's a plus and a minus on the front of this thing. So with these motors, polarity changing this will change the direction of the motor. So like, for example, I'm going to go to plus here and minus here on my deal here. And then I've got the motor, because it's a red and the black feeding the motor, that changes the direction. So now I'm making the motor go one way. And if I want it to go the other way, I'm just going to change it around that way. 12-volt battery pack that I took right off my drill, the same exact drill you just saw me taking all the screws off, same drill, same battery pack. I carry my 12-volt power supply with me all the time. Check. I could bump this entire slide room. Well, you're about to see me do that with a 12-volt tool. Can't do that with the 18 and the 36 volts. So this is going to plug into the motor, and you'll see how this works right now. But I wanted to show you what we're about to do. Taking this up, little harness. If you're only going to do this once, I don't know that it's worth buying a harness and modifying it. But if you do this as your profession, dude, invest in a $20 harness and cut it and modify it. So climbing up the ladder with my stuff, getting access to the motor, and we're going to bump this H-column out. Okay, there's one thing I'm going to need to do before I bump that motor. You'll see here I'm on the inside, that white track. See all those screws? That is also helping to hold that H-column in. So we need to remove all those screws to remove that white track. And behind that white track is where we're going to find our wire for the motor. I've taken that screw out, pulled that white track out, but the motor connector is back behind there. Okay, so you don't need to watch me do this, and I'm going to take all these screws out. Okay, so I've got the H-column bumped out a little bit. You can see that here, okay, all the way up. So that's a good sign all the way up, okay? So it hasn't come completely out of the wall yet. I'm still kind of in the wall a little bit. And down here, I've still got my support supporting this arm. And up on the roof, let's go up there. Okay, so if we can get in here, if we can see in here, you can see where I've got this harness connected into the motor right there, okay? This is the harness I was talking about. And I've already bumped the direction. So now when I touch this, it's gonna come on out. Okay, so the motor started to come out. I'll just give this a little bit of a yank. Okay, so let me go on down, and what I need to do is put a little bit of body English on this thing, and by getting down in that spot, I should be able to just bump this out, and this whole H-column should come right out for us. Okay. What we've got is right down here, it's wedged. So I'm going to take a crowbar, like a crow's foot, kind of lift up on this and pop this out, because that's where all the weight of this room is on here. Another thing this manufacturer does not do is you're supposed to have rollers underneath down there. This manufacturer has no rollers on this slide room at all. So that means that all the weight is sliding on this pad as it's sliding in and out of the room. And proper Schwintek should have rollers, and all the weight is on the rollers. And these little tracks here are really kind of the guides. But perhaps that's one of the reasons why this room ate itself, is because all the weight is on the tracks and there's no rollers here. And so that is why there's so much pressure at this point. Okay, so we're gonna kind of crow's foot that up a little bit, and this part here will get unbinded where he's at right there. I'll go inside and give it a bump. I want to show you guys something. So let me come around the other side. So if you can see in there, see the difference between here and there? This entire weight of this room, that's how much difference this was. That is wrong. That is an incorrect installation from the manufacturer, okay? Shame on them. And that's why this room failed. So when I was trying to pry it out, I was able to get my crow's foot in here, but as this piece started to work its way towards this edge, I really had nowhere else to purchase it. That's when I moved my power puller to lift it up, go on the inside and bump it back out. But at this point, now we have this H-column loose and we can pull it free. So we've got the orange support bar holding the weight of the room. Now I'll grab the H-column and pull it off the RV. There's a set screw holding the motor. Looks to be a Phillips. I'll bring a Phillips in a square with me. It's usually one of those. Square. I'll show you what we got here. This is the column I've taken off. These parts right here, you don't have very good lighting. These parts right here are called gibs. This one's got metal gibs. And the motor fits in this area, rides on the gibs. And then down at the bottom, you've got gibs down there as well. So see that metal gib? That metal gib mates up with this slot right in here on both sides, top and bottom. Okay, so up at the top, let me get the ladder. I've shown this a lot of close-up on my other video. Here we have the motor, the screw that I was fighting screws in to the motor right here to hold the motor down. With the screw missing, pulling back, the motor will lift right off. Okay. I've had a couple issues lately working on these systems where the motor will only fit down about that far. That's as far as the motor will fit. Well, the trick there, let me try to recreate this for you. So this collet is kind of rusted onto the end of the motor shaft. So as you see, the motor shaft has got that square profile, or that D profile. Okay, I'm gonna put him up here. So if I pull the collet out, the collet also has the D profile on that side, but this side is gonna match the drive shaft. Okay, now that's rust. So we talked on my other video on where to lubricate. And this is one of the reasons you lubricate. You don't want that to get all rusty. Okay, but let's see, make sure. Okay, so this collet drops down inside. I'm going to rotate it to fit on. But what I've been coming across is, I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit. if it'll let me. Okay, so you see how that collet has popped up? I'm moving it, and then here's my hand pushing it up. If the collet is not seated down all the way, your motor will not seat into those little grooves up on top right there, okay? So on your motor, you've got those little bumps, and they fit inside these. So I've gotten some comments from you guys that the motor's not seating. Well, if you find your slide situation like this, what I do is get a little socket that matches the size of this collet and take a little brass hammer and tap this down inside. Tap, 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 tap. And that will reseat the drive shaft. So you're overcoming inside here, and then down at the bottom, climbing down the ladder, bear with me. You'll see the drive shaft comes out the bottom right here. So when you're tapping it down, I'm going to push it back up, you're really not hurting anything. You're just going to tap it down like that. And by doing that, that will allow your motor to sit flush. Okay? And then that will allow you to put that set screw in. Now, when I was trying to take that column off a few minutes ago, I was able to get the bottom off easily, but the top I couldn't because that screw was still in the motor. Okay? Well, now that we've got it this far, the next thing we'll do is we'll start removing the tracks. I'll probably start on the bottom first since I'm on the ground. Some of the screws are on the inside, some are on the outside. So what I might do is see if I can pull this whole room out a little bit. Maybe. We'll try. But the problem with this particular setup is it's not on rollers underneath down there. So it's going to be very hard to move this thing. But we'll see what we can do. But we do need to get all these screws off right here to rebuild this side. Okay, folks, we're going to stop this video right here. And the editing team decided to break this long video up into 2 short parts. So we're stopping this video right here. We're going to pick up on part 2 right where we left off on this one. So at this point, I've gotten the column off of the RV. You saw me struggle with that a little bit. Normally, I'll be telling you 9 times out of 10, I never have this much trouble. The trouble I have with getting that column off is because the manufacturers use some kind of impossible epoxy, resin, sticky back something to hold those columns on. I've seen everything from butyl tape to putty tape to double-sided tape to sealant to all kinds of stuff. And so when I made that reference that sometimes it might take me an hour to get that off, that was the problem, overcoming getting the stickiness off. Rarely do I have the problem of the whole weight of the room resting on that corner like we saw in this one. So why did we have that problem? Again, altogether, because there were no rollers underneath that. Rollers are supposed to be 24 to 36 inches apart when the OEM builds these rooms. It's right out of the OEM manual. You can find that on the link. Down below, we'll put a link to the Lippert support documentation, and you can, if you're interested in the roller part, look up the one that has something to do with OEM installation under manuals or something. I know it's in there, but it's the OEM installation. And if you go through that, they'll tell you about the rollers, 24 to 36 inches. And basically, been to school on these things. The weight of the room rests on the rollers, not the big rollers on the floor. Not on those little ceramic wheels. So anyway, enough on that. I hope I covered all that in the video and helped you out. So let's jump into video number 2. And in video number 2, you're going to find out some surprises, and we had to overcome some things in the field. So I hope you enjoyed it. So this is Darren signing off until the next video. Thanks for your time and thanks for watching. We really appreciate you.